Hello everyone, and welcome to this video where I will give my thoughts on the upcoming Dawnforge patch for Paladins. This patch is shaping up to be the most impactful of the year, so let's waste no time and get right into it. Let's quickly run through cosmetics as I care little for them. Our new battle pass is Chaos Rising. Tyra is getting a set of skins because of course they would, and Rom is getting a gender bend skin because of course they would. Ashe is getting a new skin after almost 3 years since her last set of skins. The new skin is Draconic Huntress, and it will be available via the Bounty Store. This is more akin to the skins of the beta days, or the equivalent of an Overwatch Epic skin, where not too much has changed from the character's base model, and they use the default voice. I'm fine with this. I think it's a good way to give a champ a new skin without investing too many resources. Just saying, now would be a great time to bring back voice pack mixing. I'm sure Ashe players would love to use the skin with the voice of one of her other skins. Joining the Epic Skin Club is Caspian with Skull and Bones. This will be obtainable via the Dragon's Call chest or direct purchase for 300 crystals. As a wannabe Caspian main, I love this skin. The skull tattoo on his back is the highlight for me. Last of the skins is Lovestruck Kasumi. This will be in the Arcane Powers chest or direct purchase for 800 crystals. The weapon is cute, the voice pack is anime-esque but not overly annoying like Stellar Witch Lilith, and the damage effects are in this really cool comic book style. Definitely a worthwhile skin. Okay, with boring skins out of the way, we can get to the main event this patch. The new Siege map, Dawnforge. Dear Genos, we finally got a new map. The last map we received was Bazaar back in 2019. It is absurd that we went for 3.5 years without a single new map. Okay, calm it down. Dawnforge is the Pyre's mobile fortress that Azan intends to use to destroy the realm. Yay, new relevant lore and another faction that wants to kill everybody. When Judgment Day comes, the Pyre will be lighting it up in style, because this new map is gorgeous. The skybox especially is stunning. Being a Pyre-themed map, Dawnforge looks nothing like maps of old. And I'm not just talking about aesthetics. In terms of gameplay, I had good first impressions from this map. The objective is an open space surrounded by flank lanes. I like this as it makes the point fights very interesting since you have a lot of positioning options. While fighting for the point, you might want to take advantage of the map's special features. The first is the Forge. Don't worry, we're not going to Realm Royale. This is where a massive hammer will be constantly swinging up and down. Any player caught underneath the hammer will be insta-killed. But you also have the option of jumping on top of the hammer to use it as a lift to the second floor. Or, if that's not your style, you can summon the Power of the Star. On one of the flank routes next to the point, you will find a lone star that damages you if you get too close. If you stand on the button next to it, you will send the star to hover over the capture point for a few seconds, dealing damage to anyone on the point, while also creating barriers that block sightlines on the high ground. I love how unique the capture point felt when compared to other Siege maps. Bonus points for this creativity not harming gameplay. Besides the main capture point, the rest of Dawnforge feels like a normal Siege map, so I won't go into detail about that. I must say that I appreciate the fact that this map isn't super big. I can't stand Siege maps like Fish Market and Ice Mines due to how long it takes to return to the fight after dying. I think it's a great step that Paladins has finally added a new map to the game. More maps make for more gameplay variety, which is something I've been saying that Paladins needs for a while now. I mostly use the sentiment in regards to new game modes, but a new map is the next best thing. I just hope the new map isn't a one and done type of deal. Please keep them rolling. Next, we have the new LTMs coming this patch. Dawnforge Only. Self-explanatory name. I recommend playing this one when it rolls around so you can get a feel for the new map. And Sniper's Haven. Duel it out with Kinessa or Strix on a special map to test your sniping skills. In case you aren't aware, certain LTMs are getting their own maps now. It's nothing fancy visually, but it's amazing that some of these LTMs are getting special care put into them. Initially, LTMs excited me because it was finally a new set of game modes coming to the game, but I quickly lost interest due to most of them being a X character versus Y character match. Even though this new LTM is essentially the same thing, The fact that it will be played on a new map specifically designed for this game mode has me super hyped. From what was described, the map for this LTM will be 2 platforms separated by a bridge. Even though I don't play snipers regularly, I am very much looking forward to this LTM and can't wait to try it out once it's live. Speaking of LTMs, the Pick Any, recently renamed to Choose Any game mode, is becoming permanent, at the cost of Team Deathmatch. So now the TDM game mode will allow for duplicate champion selection. Listen, I am all in favor of Pick Any becoming permanent. It was the best LTM Paladins has had by far. But why is it not receiving its own queue? The normal TDM will soon be gone, and I don't like that. Now, if you queue up TDM, you better be in the mood to fight stacking teams of 5 Groks or 5 ROMs. Additional gameplay updates include the addition of a block button. Very nice. And a massive change here, being able to buy event pass levels with gold. For so long, players have been asking for a way to use gold outside of getting champion recolors, and now we finally have one. One level in the event pass will cost you 70,000 gold. So, if you want to complete the whole pass, it will cost you 1,680,000 gold. Even though that sounds hefty, keep in mind that once you have all the champions and recolor skins, gold is a worthless currency. This change also benefits the Trials of the Realm, as now it's quite beneficial to complete the gold challenges, since you could use it to buy battle pass levels. I really love this change. It's just so player friendly. Not everyone has the time to grind out their battle pass every day. Good on ya, Evilmoji. Alrighty, with all of that out of the way, we get to my favorite section to cover. Balance. Starting with the item store. Oh boy, I get worried every time they touch the store. Here we go. Kill to Heal now ignores anti-healing. I love and hate this idea. On the one hand, Kill to Heal is a worthless item late game due to how harshly it falls off. But on the other hand, this new version of the item has the potential to be extremely unfair to fight against. Imagine fighting a try-hard flanker, and they suddenly get a 900 burst heal from getting an assist. Or what if you're fighting a lone support like a Grover for example, and all of a sudden he gets an uncaughted 900 healing because his teammate got a kill. Anti-healing is such a vital part towards the gameplay loop of Paladins. I'm not a fan of messing with it too much. While I do like the idea of Kill to Heal ignoring caught, I feel that its value should have been dropped to compensate. Maybe if the scaling was lowered to 150 or 200 a level, it would feel more fair. The price could also be increased, but I don't think upping the price would remedy the frustration. As of right now, I see this item becoming a must-pick next patch, due to how much it enables you to get away with risky plays. Luckily, the next 2 item store changes aren't so questionable. After almost 3 years, Rejuvenate is finally returning to its 10% scaling values. However, the cost is being increased from 200 scaling to 250 scaling. Even though the price is a bit higher than before, I do think it's fair due to the game being in a Haven veteran meta, with champions being extremely tanky. I still believe the nerf to Rejuvenate all those years ago was extremely questionable, so I'm very happy to see it return to its peak numbers. Super excited to try out some strats with this item next patch. Last of the items is the newest one, Lethality, with not 1 but 2 buffs. Now, on top of the speed boost, your champion's jump height will be increased by 60, 120, 180% for 3.5 seconds, up from 2.5. Yeah, jump height is kind of a worthless stat in this game, and ultimately it doesn't change too much with this item. The extra second of the speed boost is the more notable buff here. Even though it's probably still going to be underpicked, I think it's great that this item is getting some attention. I can't wait to try out max jump height Vatu with this item capped. Unfortunately, no changes to Haven, /Blast Shield, /Veteran. Hopefully the Season 6 balance patch brings some changes to those items. Now we're onto champion balance. It starts off with one questionable change, but I promise it gets better. First is Betty La Bomba with a buff to the grenade launcher. The damage is going up from 650 to 750 per direct hit. Coming from a Betty main, why was this change necessary? I thought the damage at 650 was fine. Come next patch, and Betty will be able to 3-shot standard health champions with just her primary fire alone. Watch out for Betty next patch. She spits out damage and has mobility to boot if you pick Gotta Bounce. Next is Corvus with another buff to the Shadow Tribunal card. This is a card that grants bonus healing to your marked ally when you don't heal them directly with Abyssal Reconstruction. The scaling is being doubled, going from 2.5% a level to 5% a level. Capped out, that's a bonus 25% healing to your marked ally. This is a pretty popular card, so buffing it allows for more impact when capped out, or alternatively, it allows Corvus players some loadout points to place elsewhere. My only complaint is that this card buff also buffs Spreading Influence, which is already Corvus' best talent by far, and ultimately hurts talent diversity. Up next is Fernandork, with 2 buffs to the Scorch talent. Now picking the talent reduces the cooldown of Fireball by 1 second, and the bonus damage from the first hit of the Fireball is going from 30% to 35%. Combined with the recent buff to the Hot Pursuit card, the card that gives move speed after hitting a Fireball, and this talent is shaping up to be quite impactful. I like that the devs are pushing hard for Fernando to have more talent diversity. Unfortunately, most Nando players would rather be shield bots with Aegis, so who knows if these changes will actually do anything in the long run. After over a year and a half, Amani is finally getting some balance changes. The damage of the Frostbolts is going up from 410 to 420 per bolt, a massive change of 10 whole damage. There is only one notable breakpoint this changes, and that's against champions with 2100 health. You can now kill them with 5 bolts instead of 6. Granted, this isn't taking Haven Veteran into account. With that lame-o change out of the way, the real meat for Amani lies in the buffed Pyromania. Now, when picking the talent, the mana generation from your fireballs is greatly increased. When using the talent, you fill up the bar with just 3 fireballs. That is a massive step up over the base fireballs needing 8 shots for a full bar. Now, when using Pyromania, you're going to be getting that full mana faster, which ultimately means more damage for you. On top of that, since you have a reliable way of getting full mana from the talent, it now means that Amani players have access to her combo potential via not 1, but 2 talents. Quick FYI for non-Amani players, she has a lot of ability combos that are best utilized when at full mana. Check out part 3 of my Amani guide to see for yourself! Even though this change is awesome and quite creative, I still find the 20% damage nerf on direct hits to be too harsh of a downside for me to play with regularly. That being said, I think I'm going to start picking Pyromania over Splitting Ice for when I'm craving some stance swap reset plays. Oh yeah, the Infernal Cannon momentum bug still hasn't been fixed. Next up is Inara with a nerf and a buff. The nerf is to the base Earthen Guard. Now the bonus healing you receive during the ability is being lowered from 40% to 30%. But the Mother's Grace talent will now provide you a 20% bonus healing while Earthen Guard is active. I am not a fan of nerfing the base kit of a champion just to prop up a talent. While I and many others have wanted to see some buffs towards Mother's Grace to make it a better main tank tool for Inara, I would have preferred to keep the base kit's bonus healing at 40% and have Mother's Grace bump it up by a further 10%. Ultimately, the talent would still provide you with 50% bonus healing while Earthen Guard is active, however the base kit wouldn't suffer. For these changes, the devs imply that the base kit nerf was due to the Treacherous Ground talent. Like, sure, that talent is strong, but it doesn't feel overpowered, and it's heavily countered by Bulldozer. I also don't see the correlation to that specific talent and Inara's bonus healing. Anyways, fun fact! With buffed Rejuve and the new Mother's Grace, Inara can receive up to 80% bonus healing from her supports. Is this the return of main tank Inara in Ranked? Maybe. Look out for that next patch. Ooh, the talk of the town lately. Next up is Kasumi. The Yokai Doll's targeting cone angle has been massively nerfed, going from 6 to 2 degrees. This changes the weapon from an almost auto-aim to an almost hit-scan attack. The attack is a lot less forgiving, so hopefully that will alleviate some frustration with this champ. Additionally, some could take this as a buff, since it's less likely for the targeting to get confused when trying to single out an enemy in a group. To further alleviate frustration with this champion, the bonus damage from curse stacks has been lowered from 25 to 20%, so less bursty and harder to hit shots from Kasumi. Sounds good. I know Kasumi can be outplayed, but as some champions, especially low damage flanks, it can be a nightmare to fight this champion. Luckily, to compensate for those heavy nerfs, the body and soul ability gets a really nice buff. The damage reduction provided by the ability has been upped from 55% to 75%. Very nice. I genuinely hate this ability and think it's the worst movement skill in the game. Now with the massive DR it provides, I might rescind that complaint. Next up is the Cringe Lord Kinessa with a slight card rework. Restore, the card that would heal you after teleporting, is getting its internal cooldown removed. To compensate, the flat 25% health it provided is being changed to 6% scaling. I'm not a fan of cards with internal cooldowns, so I'm happy to see that go. I can't wait to try out a teleport spam build with this card next patch. Keep an eye out for that coordinated strats. Lilith is up next with some changes to her swarm. The duration of the ability is going up from 4.25 seconds to 6.5 seconds. This comes at the cost of the cooldown going from 2 to 3.5 seconds. I think this is an awesome change. Due to the swarm being Lilith's primary way of healing, a lot of her gameplay boils down to spamming swarm off of cooldown. The devs even acknowledged this in their commentary. With the increased uptime, it means you don't have to be spamming the ability as much to get the most value from it. Additionally, this is a nice buff towards the Maelstrom of Carnage talent, and finally makes the Enriched Blood card viable. This is the card that ups the damage and healing of Swarm, but lowers its uptime. Now that we have so much uptime at base, lowering it won't be as big of a drawback. I'm definitely trying the tankiest team coordinated strat again when this goes live. I want to break my healing record of 270k. Maldamba has been getting a lot of love lately, and he's getting even more now, with a buff to the Spirit's Chosen talent. The burst heal from Mending Spirits is going from 250 to 350. Pretty nice. I'm fairly certain at one point the burst healing was 300 and then they nerfed it for no reason. So it's nice to see that the ability will have more of an impact up front. Now please bring back Wakono's Curse. Pip's Catalyst talent is finally getting some of its power back. The bonus damage you get after hitting the Explosive Flask is going from 30% to 35%. This small percentage change is quite significant because you can now 3-shot standard health champs, whereas previously you could not. Obviously not counting Haven Veteran. Flank Pip might be back. Watch out for that. Next is Ray with 3 buffs. The travel speed of the Chain Heal is being increased by 50%, going from 180 to 270. This is great, as it makes the ability more reliable for those teams that play spread apart. It also invokes the cooldown of Chain Heal faster, meaning you could have the ability up more often. I suppose it also buffs the Extension talent, so maybe that'll finally be worth picking. Onto cards. First is Threat and Subject, which provides move speed after an Elim. The time limit is getting quite a boost, going from 2 seconds to 5 seconds. Even though that speed boost is quite lengthy, I still don't see this card being picked much, due to Ray having a ton of great cards at her disposal. Like the newly buffed Arcane Maelstrom card. This is the card that reduces your linked allies' cooldowns when you use Envelop. The cooldown reduction is going from 0.1 second scaling to 4% scaling. Now, instead of reducing your allies' cooldowns by a pathetic 0.5 seconds when capped out, you will be reducing them by 20% when capped out. Now Ray players have another card to compete for her 5 loadout points come next patch. Ceres getting a buff to Spirit Leech. This card grants you ammo for each second when healing with Restore Soul. The ammo gain is going from 1 to 2. Capped out, this will give you 10 ammo a second, so across the 1.5 seconds that Restore Soul is active, you'll pretty much never have to reload. Very nice quality of life buff here. Terminus's Power Siphon will not grant players aim assist when playing with the controller. I don't play with the controller, so I'm not in a position to give feedback on this one. Tyra's Crossfire is getting its pre-fire reduced from 0.8 to 0.4 seconds for reasons. It's a nice quality of life buff, I guess, but was anyone really complaining about this? It just seems odd. And last, Ying Shatter is getting a cooldown decrease, going from 4 to 3 seconds. A nice buff to both Resonance and Healbot Life Exchange players. If you use the Brittle card capped out, your Life Exchange cooldown will be just 1.5 seconds. So I guess that's nice for the Healbot Yings out there. Alrighty, that's all the changes coming for the Dawnforge update. Overall, this is a pretty good patch. There's not too much to complain about, so I applaud the Paladins devs on that. What do you guys think of the update? Let me know down below. I would also like to announce that I am planning to do another balance comparisons video. I'm just going to do it when the patch goes live as opposed to trying to record on PTS because that's always a pain. Anyways, don't forget to clap that like button and laser down that sub button. Setting the bell is also a great way to keep in the loop. As always, I'm your ninja, and peace.